All right, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? We are live today. We're gonna go through all these live streams. I'm gonna start the day off with my daily report. I think it's important. I'm loving the way the stock market is looking right now. Everything that we talked about yesterday, man, it's playing out very nicely. It's exactly what we wanted. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to get these gains. So yesterday, my portfolio was at 41,000 and change. You guys can see now it's at 43,400. So we've had some decent gains. Let's look at our positions here. And we can see that a few of these, I'm going to close out this Tesla put probably because it's above 60%. And because I'm looking to day one. Yo, you already know. You've been paying attention, brother. But essentially, I'm probably going to close this put right here just because I want to close all these things out by the end of the month. I'm at 60%. But to be honest, tomorrow might be 70. So let's get caught up on what's going on in the stock market right now. All of these trades were in the red not too long ago. So it's playing out just like I wanted it to. SoFi is back. It's looking great. So let's go through this daily report real quick. And what I'm going to do, guys, at some point, once I have all this set up, at some point, I'm going to make this accessible for you guys for free. Where you'll always be able to go check out the daily reports, links of interest, anything that I have in here, free courses. So here's my daily report for today. Okay, it's not available publicly yet, but it will once I have it all cleaned up. All right, so start off the day with our daily devotional. All right, some stuff from the good book, right? So let's start. Daily devotional. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Sheesh. Let's read that one more time. I'm gonna put this up on my screen. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. So this is speaking to FOMO. This is speaking to my young people who are trying to skip steps, who are just trying to move fast. And they think doing stuff is progress, but it's not sometimes. And so in reflection, when we're talking in investing, shortcuts often cost more than patience. We're called to move with diligence, not desperation. And this is true in life in general. When you're seeking marriage, when you're raising your kids, when you're looking at business opportunities, man, move with diligence, not desperation. So today, choose faith over FOMO. Remember that steady hands often build the longest lasting legacies. And so let's go into prayer. Lord, help me slow down and seek you first today. Keep me from impulsive decisions rooted in fear or pride. Give me eyes to see opportunity, ears to hear wisdom, and heart that honors you with my stewardship. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, now let's get into the facts, to the details. So the S&P 500 is green. We all know the previous close was 58.20. Currently, it's at 58.95. It's a 75-point change. NASDAQ is up, is green as well. It's up 320 points. The Dow Jones is green as well. It's up 283 points. I'm loving it. So tech is booming. The 10-year bonds are risk off. They're down right now, but they're still risk off sentiment at a 4.5% value. The VIX is neutral. It's above a 20, so it's slightly elevated. The DXY is the value's at 99. It's down a bit. Weak dollar, pro equity. And the Fed stance right now, the Federal Reserve, is hold. Their direction is neutral. They're waiting on CPI reports, which is going to be June 11th. All right. And so when bond yields are risk off, that means people are buying bonds over stocks. When they're risk on, that means they're selling bonds and buying stocks. All right. Hopefully that helps you guys with that. So what is going on? What's the smart money flow? So smart money flow is just where the money is flowing. Where are the whales? Where are institutional buyers? Where are the majority of retail buyers? Where's that money flowing to? Okay. And so we can see XOM, there's 2,000 contracts, puts for a strike of 105 that are set to expire September. That's where the money's flowing. So they're bullish on XOM, they're bearish on CRM, they're bullish on PDD, they're bearish on QCOM, they're bullish on United Healthcare. We knew that that was going to be a thing, right? So there's 1,031 puts at a 320 strike for UNH, but we already knew this about UNH. Okay, now let's look at institutional moves. So $105 million in private placement with global fund managers expand to the U.S. microreactor programs. $3.3 billion in market cap drop in Airbnb. What's going on with Airbnb? We might need to check that out. That if you like Airbnb, now would be the time to go look at the fundamentals, make sure the financials are still healthy, and maybe Airbnb might be a buying opportunity. There's Guidewire, a composite rating of 96, neutral accumulation from funds. Never even heard of Guidewire. So GWRE, we might need to look into. So I'm writing these stock tickers down because I may need to go and look at these and do a deeper dive, okay, which we might analyze these stocks as we go. And then let's look at Nano, NNE, and let's see what's going on with that as well. Top financial headlines. So we already know Trump delayed European tariffs until July 9th. We knew that that was gonna make it a green market today. Was very happy with that. We know that the VIX is slightly above the 20, which means there's a small sentiment of uncertainty. We know that the 10-year and 30-year treasuries, they spiked and now they're starting to cool off, but they still remain above 4.5%. We know that the dollar weakened further, but it's still healthy. And we know NVIDIA earnings is tomorrow, and that's what everybody's been talking about. Like, NVIDIA is literally growing the economy here in America. It's insane how much we rely on NVIDIA. And so let's look at our watch list. These are stocks that are in my watch list. You can see Google, Hims, Hood, Micron, NVIDIA, Palantir, SoFi, Target, Tesla, and TSMC. And my watch list is going to be evolving and changing. It's just companies that I like right now that could potentially be buys, right? And so my watch list performance, you know, Google's up 2%. It's a solid day. Hims is down, right? After it had a little bit of a rally, it's pulled back a bit. And, you know, we can go look at the what's the word I'm looking for? We can go look at these charts, right? And see how we're looking right now, right? So, for example, right now I'm looking to close that Tesla position and get back in. And it makes sense because look, the Tesla position, it's getting overbought. It's close, it's above the 70 right now. And we're getting closer to this Bollinger, the top of the Bollinger Band. We don't know how much volume is here. That's still not calculating, but it's above all of the SMAs, close to the top of the Bollinger. It could still keep going because we don't know for sure which way this is going to go, but it's right now it's bullish, but it's close to the 70, which means overbought on an RSI. All right, if you don't know this stuff, learn it. Learn this stuff, right? And I have a course that I'm teaching this stuff, but there's so many YouTubers that teach this stuff. It's unbelievable how much easier it is now to invest more than ever. Okay, so I do want to look at closing this position right here. You guys can see it's at 60%. I may need to go ahead and close this because it's pretty close to overbought. Let me buy the close. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now, collect my premium here. And so how many do I have? I think I only have one. I think I just have one. So let me close this. And I'm going to do a limit. Since I'm buying to close, I want to bid a bit more. So we're going to go. Okay. Or I want to bid less. My wife decided to make me coffee. I'm so excited. Thank you, babe. Wait, I'm not going to do it on here because right now it's... Wait, we are doing puts. We're doing put. We're doing put. We're doing one. All right. This is a trade. Where's my chain? All right. I'm not doing it on here. I don't know how to do it on this freaking app. I'm going to do it on my phone. All right. I will show you guys on my phone. Let me go ahead and close this trade. All right. My positions. Lock in. I use Face ID for my stuff. Let me see. Is the chat? Oh, what's up? Okay, no. Nothing going on in the chat, which is cool. Am I a good investor or do I use ChatGPT? I use all of it. I use all the I use all the resources that I can. But I mean, I got plenty of content on here. I can tell you that I'm not just like a stock investor. I invest in small businesses. I own a portfolio of businesses that do 8 figures a year, small businesses, privately owned. But I also do public companies as well. I do stocks, and it's a lot of it is the same shit, guys. A lot of it is the same stuff. When you own small businesses, it's way more work, but you have way more control, right? But it's not for everybody. All right, where am I at? All right, Tesla, it dipped a little bit here. So I'm coming here, I'm gonna go buy to close. And I have my one put. Let me see, bid, ask. All right, so I'm gonna bid the 297. We're gonna preview. That's what I gotta give back. Place order, and let's see if it closes. It should. It's Tesla, so plenty of volume there. And let me see if it closed. Come on, Tesla, close. All right, so I have it like that till the end of the day. Let me just double check here. Yeah, all right, so we're out of that position. So you guys can see no more Tesla. All right, let me pull it up on my screen here. So if you look at my screen now, there's no more Tesla in here, okay? My buying power went up 11 grand, as you can see, but I'm good. I don't want to get into any new positions yet. Honestly, I'm going to wait till NVIDIA, those earnings are done, because NVIDIA's earnings can affect the whole stock market, all right? Not just that, but I want to catch up on what's going on in the market before I look for any more opportunities. My HIMS has dropped a bit. So, you know, HIMS has been profitable the entire time that this was. HIMS was up 50% in collected premium, and now it's down like a mug. So I got to see what's going on with HIMS. So let me write that down on my tickers that I need to check out today. Oh, you're amazing, babe. Yeah. I love you. Thank you. Oh, you put protein in here? Yeah. My wife makes me coffee with protein in it. It's so good. All right, so that's another stock ticker we got to check out is HIMS. Perfect. And yeah, NVIDIA is looking good too. It's at 43%. So this is cool. This is cool. Yo, I'm 18-year-old guy who has plans for the future. Got a lot of haters already. Mom doesn't support dad either. Nobody actually, but I know I'm gonna make it. What are some tips you would give? What are you trying to do, bro? What's the plan? What's the goals in life? I'll give you some advice, man. I'll help you out. Oh, he's coming here to get it? Oh, okay. Look, you're the best sister in the world. All right. So now if you look at my portfolio, all right, let's see where I'm at for the month. Closed positions, I'm at $6,700 for this is month to date, okay? And this is closed. This is realized gains. So we just added Tesla to the mix. And so we're up 67.72. This is the one that I think we just closed right here, where I made $492. Let's go. It's a good month. Good month. And so you guys can see, check this out. So I'm being transparent with you guys. It ain't always gonna be beautiful. It ain't always gonna be amazing. But I've invested of my own cash $22,000. Okay. $22,000 is what I've invested. And in a few months, because look, I wasn't investing in anything here. I wasn't investing anything, right? It was here where I started to invest, right? It was really mostly May that I started to really invest. Okay. But you can see that I started with in the beginning of the year with $9,000. But I wasn't investing. I was just putting more money into my portfolio. When I got to 20,000, which is here, that's when I started investing. That's when I started putting money into options and stuff. And so I went from 17,000 in February to 25,000 to 30,000 to 40,000, and now we're at 43,000. This is in a few months. All right. So I'm going to be transparent with you guys, and there's going to be down months. Don't get me wrong. So far this year, I got a 32% return. And it's not going to go great like this the whole time, but, and you guys can see, like, I wasn't investing anything this whole time, right? It was December when I really started putting money into the account and things started to boom. So, is this just options? Oh, no. Okay, cool. So yeah, look, you can see it this way as well. You guys can see I started in January with a $9,000 deposit. That's all I did. It was a 4,000 to make it 9,000, but I wasn't investing or anything. I was just putting $1,000 a week. Then in February I had 13, then 17, and this is where I really started investing. And so May I was at 30 grand. But we just keep running these plays and making some bread. Now, let's get back into our report. That's what we were supposed to be doing. So you guys can see these are, so if you look at the reports, you can see MU is up 3%, because of earnings tomorrow. Palantir is kind of flat. SoFi is up 1%. Tesla had crazy gains. Part of it is Elon coming back. I wish I would have. I was buying. I made a bunch of money from Tesla puts. Obviously, I made $1,000 in the last month from Tesla puts, but I should have just been buying the stocks. It would have been way more up, Okay. And so we can look at sector momentum. Tech is up. Obviously, it's what's driving everything because of NVIDIA. Energy is down. So if you like any energy stocks, now might be the time to look at some. Maybe sell some puts on those. Finance is flat. Another good time to sell puts on finance stocks if you think that long term they're going to win. And then consumer is up. All right. And might be a good time to, if you think it's at the top of the market, might be a good time to sell covered calls if you own the shares. So we got social and cultural trends. When's the last time you guys watched a music awards? The reason why I look at social and cultural trends is because you can find investment opportunities based on social and cultural trends that give you an edge, because Wall Street don't pay attention to this shit, right? An example of that was when Crocs was trending left and right, sold out Justin Bieber's, Bad Bunnies, lines outside the door. I bought a bunch of Croc stock and it went crazy, okay? I don't know why they're putting Division III national championships on here, but shout out to Denison University. Congratulations. Joey Chestnut breaks a record 42 popcorn servings in 8 minutes. And then I do want to check this out. Once a refugee now owns 11 franchises, number one. So I'm going to see if there's a little documentary or something on this story, because it could be inspirational, You never know. All right, let's look at top world headlines. So we definitely got to look at Trump and Putin. Things are getting ugly here. That's not good. That affects our investing, that affects our business, that affects life. King Charles talking shit about America's, they love the 51 state thing, and it's I don't does anybody really take that shit seriously? Jeez. Chemical plant explosion in China kills 5 people. France debates legalizing end of life options. There's not more things to worry about in France. Like, why do people want to end their life so bad? Can we pass bills to try to help these people out with this not wanting to end their life? We really have gone so far away from pro life that we're doing this, bro. And I get a lot of hate comments for making statements like that, but I don't care. I do not care. I care about God's opinion, not Bobby's and Janice's opinions, who's never owned a business, never done shit in their life, but they want to dictate what our government, what society should be doing. Shut your little asses up in my comments. Anyways, Russia seizes Ukrainian border villages. It's just intensifying. They don't want peace. I mean, not they, but Putin don't want peace. And then we look at viral internet trends because, again, there could be dog's love for bounce house goes viral. Imagine a company, there's a shit. As a small business owner, I might create if this is trending, imagine a mini dog house, a mini dog bounce house. First person to get that to market is going to make millions of dollars. But it takes work. I'm going to have to fly to China and get it done, or find somebody here who can get it done. But the first person to do this, if that product doesn't exist, money in that. And if the product does exist, make a video on TikTok, affiliate link, might make 30 grand from something like that. It's making money in 2025 is not that hard, guys. You just got to pay attention to shit. Look for opportunities. Kangaroo boarding pass video fools internet. I don't know what that is. Oh, this is one we have to watch. Remember how we were talking about Emmanuel Macron and his wife, who Candace Owens says is a man. His wife married him. He was a very young age. Weird shit going on. We got to check this clip out. And then CM Punk's surprise WWE appearance breaks internet. I don't watch WWE, so I won't check that out. All right, that's my daily report for today. Now let's get into actual deep dive and catching up with current events and investment opportunities. All right. Where should we start? What's up, Tanzir? How you doing? All right, so man, so the thing is, I do something that everybody can do, but nobody knows how. I can tell you because I have like this thing that I don't tell nobody things because they go bad after that. But like, let's say I made over 50K in 3 months last year due to this. And this year had some debts due to that. I had given them, but thanks to those debts, I have the knowledge nobody has in this domain, but I like my parents are really stopping me and shit. You made 50,000 over 3 months. You had some debts due. You had debts from the business. That's not making 50K, right? I could make $10 million this year, but if my expenses are 8 million, I made 2, right? After taxes, I made $1.2 million, not 2. Your problem is your parents don't trust you yet. You gotta. What is it that they don't trust? What's the answers? What's the solution to the questions? What's the answer? And so you said yes. So you didn't make 50K. Oh, you made 50,000 profit. Okay. And so is it drop shipping? Is it AI stuff? Is it something that's tangible? Like, is it a legitimate business? And if it is a legitimate business, do you have accounting? Are you paying taxes on all this stuff? You know? What space is it in? Is it drop shipping? Is it like e-commerce? Is it Amazon FBA? Is it believe me, bro, there's 5 people on this live, that No one's gonna steal your idea. Oh, sports betting. Yeah, that's why. Of course, that's why. Of course, that's why. And it's not the lifestyle they want you to have because your parents are wise. No offense, your parents are wise. I sports bet. I made $400 yesterday betting on the Knicks. I sports bet, and there was a time I was making like not a lot of money, but $1,000 a week from sports betting. Um, it's not that nobody believes in it. It's just not something you want to. It's not a lifestyle you want, bro. It's not tangible or it's not stable. It's not, and your parents are worried about the stability and what comes with that life. And if your parents are religious, they definitely don't want you doing it. Um, so it sounds like you're a smart guy. Imagine if you used the same shit, right? Because betting is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but betting has a lot to do with math, with odds, right? Dude, you use the same logic with options, with stock investing, not day trading, but the stuff that I do. Go check out my course, and your parents will respect it. They'll love it. And I think that if you're making a lot of money from it, continue to do it. I'm not telling you not to do it, but what your parents want is for you not to think that that's the only thing you should be doing. They want you to have a stable backup plan. You see what I'm saying? Like, 245, my company makes millions of dollars a year, but I lose sleep at night because anything can happen to a business like this. Look at the trade wars. Look what about a recession? It can affect a retail business or a consumer business. And so that's why I started investing in real estate and in barbershops and things like that, so I could diversify. I call it saving the game, because this happens to everyone. You could have a down year or a down month, right? You could really blow up your bankroll. And so I would suggest is keep doing what you're doing to make the money, but don't don't pay for your lifestyle with sports betting, bro. Take that money and then invest it into something your parents will respect. You see what I'm saying? They're looking out for you. I think they're smart. And I think being religious is smart. It's the book of the wisest of the wise, you know? So I would suggest, keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna have to pay taxes. Pay taxes on that stuff. Make it legitimate. But I would, if you're good at numbers, if you're good at odds and all that, you will be great at investing in stocks. Investing, not day trading, investing. So um hey, good job, Sway. Was just talking about you in today's live, by the way. Um and so dude, go check out my free course. It's on my YouTube channel. Just look up Basio Stock Investing Course. Start at part 1. Um and I think you'll get it. You'll understand. I think in here you'll understand. Oh, in Denmark, sports betting is no taxes. That's amazing, but that can change. That's another thing that I don't like about sports betting. The laws change so much. One year they banned sports betting in Florida, and then couple years, and then for like a decade it was banned. So we would have to use like third party underground things or go to like illegal gambling spots, or I'd have to just try to figure out a way to go to Vegas and shit and sports bet that way. And I had clients that were professional Texas Hold'em players and stuff, and they would have to every weekend fly out to go make a living. So I don't know how it is historically with Denmark, but it's one of those. It's also an industry that's heavily regulated, so you gotta be careful. You don't gotta believe me, but I make money. I make more money than you in my sleep, and it's not gonna happen through sports betting. you know, I have $40,000-$50,000 days, and I don't have to work for it. So it's probably worth learning this. If you're smart enough to learn sports betting, bro, you're smart enough to learn investing in stocks and in businesses. Good luck to you, man. And your parents will be able to sleep at night. All right, let's get into some content here. So I guess Putin responded to the Kremlin in their bag. So let's check that out. And we gotta watch it from CNN's perspective. We have to, right?
The 120 strike. So there's $10 wide.
That ain't it. Why the hell isn't the sound going? Oh, that's why. It's muted. Let's go.
The Kremlin is blaming emotional overload for Donald Trump's critical comments about Vladimir Putin after the US president called his Russian counterpart absolutely crazy. Trump's remarks followed Russia's largest ever aerial assault on Ukraine over the weekend. The Kremlin spokesperson sought to downplay the criticism and instead said Moscow is grateful to the US for help in launching the negotiation process with Ukraine.
So why is he still bombing the shit out of Ukraine? Hey guys, real quick, some housekeeping. Some of you guys are on my main channel watching this. I just started doing that because I realized some of you are not. Some of you guys are still over here. Let me see if I can find it. Basio. Some of you guys are still on this channel right here, which is cool, but that's not where I'm going to live stream anymore because it's bad for the algorithm. If you want to catch my live streams daily, go to Basio Live, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you'll see that all my live streams are saved here, right? So some of you guys are missing my daily live stream, so you're missing out on opportunities. Because I called the stock market being green on this stuff throughout the whole week. So if you want to be in the know, then make sure you're following this channel. You're subscribed to it. And if you see the chat, there's one person on the right of my window right now that you can see on my screen shows up in the chat, and that's because they're watching it from the right channel. If you want to be in the chat or whatever, you got to be on the right channel. All right. Let's get back to this content.
Of course, at the same time, this is a very crucial moment, which is associated, of course, with the emotional overload of everyone, absolutely, and with emotional reactions. We follow this very closely.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said it's clear Trump is increasingly disillusioned with Putin after the continued attacks on Ukraine. He also spoke about the lifting of range restrictions for weapons delivered to Ukraine by Germany and other Ukrainian allies, a move the Kremlin calls dangerous. CNN's Kristen Holmes has more now from Washington.
President Donald Trump having a clear change of public posture when it comes to Russia and Russia's President Vladimir Putin after his phone call with him last week, where he described the relationship as good, saying that Ukraine and Russia were going to go straight to the negotiating table. He is growing frustrated with the Russian president, particularly after that series of attacks we saw over the weekend. This is what he told reporters.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time. Always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Hey, man, Trump is a funny guy, bro. But what do y'all think? Everything that they're saying out of their mouths makes sense, but everything they're doing makes no damn sense.
Now, generally, Donald Trump spends most of his time talking about his good relationship with Vladimir Putin, focusing instead on the actual war in Ukraine, on trade deals or potential economic partnerships should Russia end the war. Now, what was particularly interesting in this conversation with reporters is that he was asked if he's considering adding additional sanctions to Russia. And in this conversation, he said yes, because of what he is seeing going on in Ukraine. Last week, after that conversation between Putin and Trump, it seemed like sanctions were all almost completely off the table, or at least additional sanctions there. Now, the other thing I want to point out here is that Donald Trump continues to try and back away from this conflict. He once said that he would resolve in 24 hours. In a series of posts over the weekends, he also said this wasn't his problem, it wasn't his war. He blamed it on Zelensky, on Putin, and even on Joe Biden. Kristen Holmes, CNN, the White House.
Jill Doherty is an adjunct professor at Georgetown University. She's also a former CNN Moscow bureau chief and the author of My Russia, What I Saw Inside the Kremlin. Appreciate you joining us.
Hey, Rosemary. Good to be here.
Wonderful. So one day after President Donald Trump called Vladimir Putin absolutely crazy for targeting civilians in Russia's biggest aerial attack since the start of the war, the Kremlin is now responding, saying Donald Trump may be suffering an emotional overload. So what does this signal to you, and how likely is it that Donald Trump will now respond by imposing additional sanctions on Russia to get Putin to the negotiating table?
Well, that comment by actually Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson for the president of Russia, was that this is emotional for everyone, that it's highly emotional. Emotional overload is the word that he used.
You see how the CNN reporter said Donald Trump, they're saying that Donald Trump must be going through some type of emotional overload. No, they said they're all going through emotional overload.
So,
damn, CNN.
I think what they're trying to do is, it doesn't look good for the president of the United States to call the president of Russia crazy. It doesn't look good domestically for President Putin to be called crazy. So I think what they're trying to do, they want to continue to talk with the United States. Putin apparently doesn't want peace now at all, but they want to keep talking. So what they're trying to do is kind of smooth down, the edges of those comments by President Trump and keep the ball rolling, but not create too many problems in the relationship at this point.
And Jill, President Trump appears shocked that Putin is targeting civilians with deadly aerial attacks, shooting rockets into Kyiv and other cities while in the middle of peace talks, is what he observed. But most other world leaders already knew what Putin was capable of. Why did it take so long for Trump and his administration to realize who they're dealing with?
Well, it might be that there is a difference between his administration and the president himself, because the administration has, in some cases, sounded a little bit harder. But President Trump actually, I believe, thought that he could get a deal with the power of his personality and that personal relationship with Vladimir Putin. It hasn't happened, and it must be intensely frustrating. And you can hear it, in the president's comments, calling Putin crazy. He sounds angry and he sounds frustrated. But the question is, Rosemary, and you asked this, will he do anything about it? Will he follow through on what he said? I'm, open to or considering sanctions, but he didn't say what kind of sanctions. And he said this before. He said it numerous times that, he's not happy, we should do this, et cetera. But he has not actually pushed for new sanctions. And that is the crux. And it could be sanctions. It could also be military aid for Ukraine. And he's not doing that either.
And meantime, European leaders are reaffirming their support for Ukraine and renewing ceasefire calls after Putin's aerial assault on Ukraine and after Trump called Putin absolutely crazy. They are hoping that this signals that Washington will now take a harder line in pressuring Putin to the negotiating table. But as you've pointed out, we're not seeing any signs of that right now. So what do you expect might happen next?
Well, you have the Europeans now saying that the Ukrainians can use weapons that they get from the Europeans to actually attack Russia, long range. That's something that President Biden did not want to do. He was very concerned that that would create even more problems and even lead to some type of war. But the Europeans are now apparently moving ahead on that. And the Russian spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, said that could be dangerous. That would be a dangerous step. So I think the war right now is, continuing full force. In fact, perhaps even more full force than before. And then the peace negotiations, it's always very hard to say what President Trump will do next. But he could still walk away. There's still that possibility, even though he threatens to walk away, but then he doesn't, and he's back in the game again. But he could walk away and finally say, look, Putin's crazy, Zelensky, and he had criticism for Zelensky as well. Zelensky creates problems every time he opens his mouth, and therefore I am walking away. It's almost as if he is talking to two school children. There is that castigating tone, and we'll just have to see where that leads.
Jill Doherty.
Man, great point. Look, I will say this. If the sanctions go through, we should expect volatility in the market short term. Because markets hate uncertainty, right? Especially with geopolitical tensions. We've seen when sanctions happen, when trade wars happen, it triggers fast sell-offs, right? And we have proof of this because in April, when the tariff announcement happened, bro, the Dow plummeted, the S&P plummeted. In March in 2018, when Trump had tariffs on China back then, same shit happened. In May, this month, with the whole Apple thing, when Trump threatened 50% tariffs to Europe and the issue with Apple, you guys saw what happened in the market. Shit got ugly in the short term. And so this is why I don't like to day trade. You're too vulnerable for things that are kind of out of your hands. But 30-day, 45 days, and even longer tend to be more flexible. Now, sectors like energy and defense could skyrocket, could go up based on these sanctions. And so I also asked, what kind of timeline can we see here for this to happen? And so this is what it would look like in order for these sanctions to pass. As far as implementation. So presidential authority via executive order. So under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the president has broad authority to impose economic sanctions in response to national emergencies. This means that upon declaring a national emergency, the president can swiftly enact sanctions without the need of congressional approval. Historically, such sanctions can be implemented within days of the declaration. We know Trump likes EOs. He likes executive orders. And this is probably the route he's going to go if he decides to do sanctions. So you only have a couple days to react, if that. And so if I have, a zero DTE or a short-term option, I might get slaughtered any given day because he announces he's doing sanctions. So I like the 30-day play because I do think even if he does do the sanctions thing, we'll be out of that. We'll get those gains back within 30 days. And if we don't, that's fine as long as our strike price is at a good is placed well. So moving forward, we know with this being on the forefront of it being possible, we probably need to be careful on the risk that we're taking, right? Now, he might announce sanctions a week from now. I'm not saying, don't invest. I'm just saying keep that in the back of your mind, okay? So that's good to know. The other angle here that they mentioned in this video was that Trump has been talking about walking away for quite some time now. What happens if Trump finally does walk away? Right now, he's been saying he's going to walk away, but he stays. Walk away, but he stays. And part of it is because what could happen if he walks away? So here's the geopolitical consequences if he walks away. Escalation in Ukraine. Without diplomatic pressure and negotiation, Russia may intensify its military operations, leading to greater instability in Eastern Europe. Then there's strained U.S. alliances. NATO allies like Europe may view the U.S. as unpredictable or unreliable, especially if talks collapse abruptly. Well, Europe has kind of been mistreating us from my angle, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I don't really, I'm not really, I don't really see that as a benefit, anyways. As far as Europe seeing us as unreliable, because they move like we're unreliable, anyways. Talking with China, making deals with China, talking shit about us with Canada and all this stuff. And it's Trump. It's mostly Trump, but still. Increased global tensions. So other adversaries like China, Iran, North Korea may test the U.S. in their own things, right? Their own issues, like China with Taiwan, Iran with everybody in the Middle East and us. North Korea, they might start to see us as weaker and a breakdown as a leadership vacuum. And then you have the market volatility, the market fallout, the economic consequences. If Trump just walks away, you're going to see market volatility because of uncertainty, right? You're going to expect a risk-off sentiment, which means you're going to see bonds skyrocket, gold, treasury bonds, and the US dollar. That'll probably be where people start to spend their money because they're safe haven assets. Okay. No, I've never done Twitch. I know nothing about Twitch, bro. I've not tried Twitch. Why, you think this would do well on Twitch? Another thing is oil and energy spike. So oil could be great. And this is what usually happens during geopolitical shocks, because if conflicts intensify, then the supply chains are threatened, oil prices go up. You might want to buy it while it's cheap. Historical parallels, right? And so we can look at like Trump versus North Korea. When Trump abruptly walked away from the Hanoi summit with Kim Jong-un, talks stalled and tensions reemerged through war, though war was avoided, okay? So success leaves clues. History repeats itself a lot of times. It evolves, but it also repeats itself, and you can gain wisdom through that. So anyways, that when Trump walked away from the China trade talks in 2018, there was a 9% drop in the S&P 500. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your strike prices, right? Keep dollar cost averaging, but we know if he walks away and we see that affect the market, that might be a time to start dollar cost averaging, but investing more, because long term, I'm betting on the S&P. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys as far as, this whole Putin crazy and Donald Trump and Putin shit going on. We're wearing our investor hat, and that's how we're looking at it. And so hopefully that helps you guys out. That's insightful for y'all. But yeah, no, man, I've never tried Twitch or I don't even go on TikTok. I see. Yeah, maybe I'll start a Twitch channel. Let's see how that goes. Because this is ultimately who I'm trying to reach younger people, man, because you guys have the opportunity of a lifetime with stocks. Like, maybe you don't have the same opportunities that my generation had with real estate, but you have even more opportunity with stocks, in my opinion, way more opportunity than when I was coming up. Yeah, I should do that. Set it up for Twitch and all that. All right, I'm gonna put that on my to-do list. Look at this. Set up Twitch. I don't know how I would promote it, but all good. At some point, we're gonna look up each of these stock tickers. All right, and we'll go through evaluating them, seeing what picks are good, whatnot. All right, next here. Oh, I love this video, y'all. I watched this video yesterday, and I wanted you guys to check it out. But before we watch this video, we have to look at what the hell happened to the Prime Minister of France. So I don't know if you guys remember. the story that we looked at that Candace Owens did on the French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron. But go watch that shit. It is insane. Okay, completely insane. Nonetheless, we have to watch this. So, guys, the prime minister, I think he's the prime minister, either the prime minister or the president, I forget. No offense to my French people, none but love, no disrespect. But apparently Candace Owens and the amount of craziness, whether you believe this lady was born a man or not, the fact that this lady met her husband when he was 14 years old. She was his school teacher. In America, that would be weird as hell. And I think it's weird in France too. Right? And I think it's weird in France too. But look, this was, let me show you. Check this out, guys. So this right here, if I can find it, this is them today. They're saying that this lady right here was born a man. Go through that rabbit hole if you guys want to. There's significant evidence to make me believe it's true. Okay? This is her husband. All right? He is the what is he? The president of France, Emmanuel Macron. Okay? They're about 30 or 40 years apart in age difference. All right? This was Emmanuel Macron in high school. He was an actor and she was his drama teacher. She was his drama teacher. And this was her when they met. She was an older woman. Looked like in her 40s, 50s. I don't know, man. Something's off here. So anyways, she's the first lady of France now. Nobody talks about how weird that is. But then, the sugar, the cherry on top is the fact that people are claiming she was born a man, and they have not given any evidence as to why it's not true that she's a man. There's no evidence. There's a missing brother that looks just like her. You guys got to go through that rabbit hole. It's insane. So anyways, this is crazy too. Imagine Donald Trump getting this happening to Donald Trump. It would be all over. It would be the biggest news all over the world. People would have a field day if this happened to Donald Trump. Let's check it out. Oh shit. Look at this. Watch him right here. Okay. Look at his reaction. This is like some shit on television. Are we living in a reality show? Is this the Truman Show? Did you see that? He sees the cameras and he's like, damn, they caught this shit in 4K. And then watch. Hey. You stupid. Beep. Look. I can't believe it. Imagine if that was Donald Trump getting smushed. They weren't joking. You saw how his face got real serious there. Bro. Oh, hell no. They zooming in. Oh, he's coming out now. Look. Just another day in paradise. Look. He's going to wait for her to grab his arm. She never does. Look. Oh. Fix your arm, bro. She's not grabbing it. What do y'all think about that shit? That is crazy. That is funny. I ain't gonna lie though, man. He's got to be in a stressful place in life, bro. All these rumors circulating, all these things happening, and plus your country's all over. Man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy times. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it, Sway. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, my wife would never smush me in the face like that. Ever. There's just a level of respect. There's a line you don't cross when you respect one another as in marriage. And I see people cross that line all the time, especially young people. And not even young people. Just a certain culture, man. And honestly, a lot of times it's people who don't have God at the center of their marriage. But that's just a line you never cross, in my opinion. Because if you're willing to cross that line, I'm just saying. Look at this. It didn't look like it, brother.
French officials say a crumpled tissue was mistaken for a bag of drugs. Macron's office debunked the rumor with humor, tweeting, "This is a tissue for blowing your nose." Officials say these efforts are part of a wider Kremlin campaign to undermine Europe's steadfast support for Ukraine in the war against Russia.
Has been looking to expand French influence
as they land in Vietnam is going viral and has caught the attention of Russian trolls. Later, Macron appears to offer his arm, but France's First Lady opts to hold the railing instead. The Élysée Palace initially denied anything unusual had happened, calling it a moment of togetherness and playful teasing in a statement. Macron later told journalists he was surprised by the attempts to twist the moment.
There is a video now which opens. We're in the middle of bickering and rather joking with my wife. And I'm surprised by how this becomes a kind of geoplanetary catastrophe.
Smell good.
French officials say the moment will likely feed the mills of conspiracy theorists and Russian trolls.
Nah, bro, I ain't buying it. What do y'all think? I'm not buying it. It ain't no Russian trolls. You know, like, y'all messed. That was bad. That was bad. All right, so let's get to this clip that, man, I love Chris Camillo, bro. One of my favorite investors. This man has made $40 million in the stock market in the last few years. And he's just a regular guy, bro. I've been following this guy for 5 years, maybe. And when I first started following him, he had turned $2,000 into $2 million. And he's just been cranking. Let's check this. You guys got to check this out. Such a great podcast interview. Man, Sway, that's a great question. I don't have a set time, bro, because, you know, life's. You know, I got kids, I got a wife. I go, you know, I actually run businesses. I'm not just a streamer. So I try to stream at least 3 hours a day. Sometimes it's around lunchtime, sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's at night. So you guys think that hurts me or because I've seen some streamers that they have a set time, but I've seen some that just kind of do it, and people just tap in when they can. So is there a way that maybe I can set out notifications or something to people? Because I know YouTube's notifications don't work; they suck. Anyhow, let's check this out. And there I go again. It's muted. All right, here we go.
There's nothing more important than being part of the investor class for one's financial life. It's not an option. It's not like, should I start investing? Oh, it's not a question. You better darn start investing right now. You better go get a Robinhood account or get whatever, right? Just start doing it. I promise you. Don't do anything stupid. No meme coins, none of that stuff, right? Just invest in companies, live your life, start.
Do I not tell y'all this all the time?
Connecting dots, start looking for trends. Now,
I still do the meme coins, but I'm not putting a bunch of bread in it. Like, and don't get me wrong, I did a meme coin. I put 13 grand into Shiba, made bank. I put like 7 grand into Dogecoin, made bank. But that wasn't make or break for me. Some of you guys keep playing this game your whole life. And when you do a meme coin, you're putting $500 hoping that changes your life because you never stuck to something stable, something long term, so that one day you can put 5 grand in, 10 grand into a meme coin and not lose sleep at night. That's the difference between us. For a season, I sacrificed so that one day I can really get wealthy off of meme coins. Where some of you guys have never done any season and you just keep doing meme coins. And every time you do a meme coin, it's $500, $1,000. You lose it all. Do it again, do it again, do it again. And you got nothing to show for all of these bets. You got to not bet for a season so that when you do bet, you don't lose sleep at night.
Start looking for, like, how is culture evolving? How is consumerism changing? Like, we as normal people have our like feet in the real world in a way that people on Wall Street just don't. We see things before them. The market is rigged in our advantage because we can see the world changing in a way that people that work on Wall Street just can't. They're reading data that's weeks and months old. We're seeing it evolve in real time. And just start doing it. Make mistakes. Lose a little money here and there, right? No big deal.
So what then to you separate?
So this is why, guys, my daily reports, this is part of why, please, Penny, if you notice, like I was showing you guys, my daily reports have social and cultural trends reported. And not every time is there going to be information that's worth using, right? Top world headlines, viral internet trends. It's because this is the edge that we have as members of society that Wall Street does not have. And we could take advantage. I made money from Celsius. I made money from a lot of different things because of trends like this. All right, let's continue.
Separates the people that are successful at investing versus the people that fail at it.
You just have to have a long-term mindset. You have to know that you're not good at it. Have you ever been good at anything when you first started? But at the end of the day, as long as you're putting money in the market and not doing crazy, weird stuff, I don't know how I literally don't know how you lose.
That are successful at it.
Like if you're not doing weird, crazy stuff, I don't know how you freaking lose at this game. It's just a matter of how big you win. And the more you do it, the more aggressive you get, the more comfortable you get. We're like, you know what? I just made all that money because I saw that this Apple phone was going to be a big deal and no one else realized it. And next time I'm going to put more money in. Next time I'm going to add a few stock options. I'm going to learn how to do stock options. I'm going to put a little bit of leverage in, right? You have to bucket your money. That's the big thing. Nobody knows how to bucket their money. If every individual on earth needs to have a big money account where they take money that is not their retirement, not for vacations, not for education, take money that they ordinarily would have blown on something random, right? And say, you know what? Is it worth me clipping a $2 coupon? Maybe not. But if you look at that every dollar like $100, if that $2 coupon is $200, is it worth clipping now? See, I think of every dollar like $100 because I know I can take that dollar, invest it aggressively like rich people do, and grow it 100x over some period of time. If you think like that, all of a sudden you find yourself clipping coupons.
Man, I can't, bro. This is such game, and I've been telling y'all this for a minute. Look, I've always told you guys, the main thing is your main thing. Whatever your job is, that's your main thing. Try to become a high income earner in whatever that job is. Most of you guys can look at what the top 10% of income earners in your field are making, and you should try to reach that. So let's say your number is 150K, all right? And right now you're living on 50K and you're making 70, let's say. We need to do everything in our power to get to that 150K. That is the first step. And we need to stay living at 50K. The reason why is because that margin of 100K you can get here is your ticket to wealth. It's your ticket. And so the next step for me was I started businesses. And I kept pouring all this money into my small businesses. And as my pies started to grow in the different businesses in my portfolio that I owned, then I started putting that money into real estate, playing Monopoly. And as that portfolio started to grow, now I'm really into stocks, okay? You guys can skip this. You can skip this if you want to and go straight from this to this, because small businesses and real estate ain't for everybody. I had to learn that the hard way, right? Trying to coach a lot of people to do it, and they just couldn't figure it out. It's just not for them, right? Or you can skip real estate and just do small businesses and stocks. Sway started his first business. He was just talking about it earlier, about his small businesses and how they're doing, right? As you guys can see, you know, he focused on his small businesses and stuff. And he might skip real estate, right, and go straight to stocks. But at least he's increased his income. He's living below his mean. He has margin to put into his small businesses. His small businesses are making more money. And so now he might have his margin might be $150,000 a year that he can invest into stocks. And he might say, look, I'm happy right now with just investing $100K, which means his lifestyle can go from 50 to $100K a year for lifestyle, right? So if he's married, if he's got kids, they feel like they're growing, they're not pissed off, and you still have $100,000 that you can put in stocks. Guarantee you can be a millionaire in 5 to 10 years just with this plan. Multi-millionaire. Okay? All right. But yeah, let's continue watching this video because, man, it's just game. It's so much game. And then the reason why, look, there was a time, guys, where I was making $1 million a year, and I literally was driving a hoopty. 2 15-year-old cars, 10-year-old cars paid off. And people were like, damn, Chris, why are you still living below your means? When are you going to actually do something for yourself? And it was because every dollar that I saw, because I was successful at small business, at real estate, every single one of these made a dollar feel like $100 because I knew I could turn a dollar into 100. Because I knew I could do that. A lot of you guys don't have this feeling because even if I gave you the money to invest it, you wouldn't know what to do with it. So the first thing you need to do, and Camille already mentioned it, is your education, is investing in yourself so that you value this dollar, because by investing in yourself, you'll know what to do with every dollar and you'll know what that dollar is actually worth to you. Man, this is game. This is game. Let's keep going.
The people that fail at it.
Damn it.
You just had to have a long.
I need a damn producer.
All of a sudden, you find yourself mowing your own grass because you're going to take that money that you saved by mowing your own grass.
No, that's too much. That's too much now. Nah, we're not mowing our own grass. If you want to mow your own grass, do it. But I ain't mowing my own grass. I'm going to work in the shop, or I'm going to do more work on my main job, pay somebody to mow my lawn, focus on the main gig. Because if you are, in my opinion, and you know, Chris might have a different opinion because, you know, his background might be different. But in my opinion, if you're focused on, let's say you were making 70 and you know your target number is 150 because that's what the top 10% of income earners make in your field, then your next goal, let's get to 100K. Okay, I'm spending all my time trying to get to 100K. Then I'm going to spend all my time trying to get to 150K. Why would I spend 2 hours mowing my lawn when I could pay somebody $100 a month to mow it? My time is better. These 2 hours is better spent focusing on these extras, on trying to get here. That's what I would suggest. You got to work smart and hard, right? I'm not against mowing my own lawn if you already capped out, right? I'm not against that. But even then, is there something else you could be doing with your time? Because your ROI on your time spent is better spent doing something else than mowing your lawn, right? But I get what Chris is saying though. Like there's still some validity to it.
And you're going to put it in that big money account, not your normal brokerage account, but an account where you get to invest like wealthy people do, not worrying about it, not worrying about losing it, right? Maybe there's a startup. Maybe there's a guy from your college or from your work who's really smart and doing ambitious things. Look for those people in your life. Are they starting a company? Go start hanging out at your local startup accelerator, listening to there's people in life, they're out there doing crazy things, right? They're just working harder than everyone else. They're taking big risks. They're starting companies. Every major city has like an incubator where you can go listen to founders talk, and you could start meeting entrepreneurs. Just like meet them. Just maybe you start investing in startups, hit one startup, that could be 200 times your money, right?
Yeah.
But that's the world that anybody can be in if they want to be in it. You don't have to be wealthy to be in that world. You don't have to invest. You can just start hanging out with those people and speaking to them. Meanwhile, you're mowing your own lawn, you're clipping coupons. And instead of I always say hey, you want to buy the $800 TV? Would you wait a year, and instead of $800, I guarantee that TV will be $600. Well, nah, $200. I'd rather have the TV this whole year. But what if that $200 is $20K now? Would you wait a year? Well, I'd wait a year for $20K. All of a sudden, you're going to start delaying purchases to save a little bit of money. So all the stuff that you talk about doing becomes a lot more interesting. Like a lot of people might look at the stuff that you do and be like, Graham is too frugal for me, man. I'm just not doing it. I don't care about saving $1 here or there. But if every one of those dollars is $100, all of a sudden they start doing all the stuff that you say to do. And you know how you have all those YouTube accounts of people talking how to save money in a million different ways? That all of a sudden becomes really appealing if every one of those dollars is $100. And if you take that money, I call it other people's money. It's money that was never yours. You were going to spend it or you're going to give it to someone else, but you made a decision to get your hair cut every 4 weeks or 5 weeks instead of every 3 weeks. You save a little bit of money there, but that money goes in your big money account. And that money you use to aggressively invest. You're not like investing in the S&P 500. You're investing in individual stocks that are maybe a little controversial. Maybe you invest with leverage. Maybe you invest on market.
So for me, I'm not doing that with my stock investing, but I'm doing that again with my small businesses. For those of you guys that are not interested in small businesses, then you can create a different portfolio where you're looking for 10 to 100 baggers. And that's just value investing or tech or growth investing. And I show you guys how to do that too in the free course that's in my YouTube channel, of which I should put that into 6FB into the classroom for you guys as well, which I will do. And I'll probably do a bonus materials extended version of that course so you guys can learn a bit more.
Margin. Maybe you buy.
Earmuffs, Jack.
No, but
Tell me more.
But here's the thing.
How can I borrow even more?
But here's the thing. If you're borrowing money that's part of your retirement account, maybe that's a problem. If you're borrowing money that's in an account that's designed to be high risk, high reward, right? I have that account. Like everyone should have that account, even if it starts with only $5 in it, because it's shocking how quickly that account can grow over time. Shocking, believe me. I've seen it, not in my own account, but like in all these other accounts and people in my community. And like I don't do coaching. I don't generate. This. I don't generate any money from my community. I don't do any of that stuff. Like I don't sell a single thing to anyone. I'm just like, dude, I'll tell you what I'm investing in. If you share your ideas with me, I'll share them with you. And by the way, I made more money from YouTube. People don't realize this. I've made more money from YouTube than almost any YouTuber, but I make no money from YouTube advertising or sponsors. I've never taken a sponsorship. But the ideas that I get from my community on stocks, I've probably made $40 million from.
Damn.
So it's like I extract value out of the ideas that people that watch our channel and comment. That sounds kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
I want you guys to see his community. If you've been following me for a while, I've been telling you guys to go check out Dumb Money. join their Discord, and just, you know, even just conversations, and there's ideas that conviction, trade ideas and research, like leverage. You have a whole team of analysts here that are just helping each other out. Elf is a good one. It's in the beauty industry. You know, like, let's take a look at these, which is crazy because Elf was something I was looking at investing on in a bunch of times. But it's great to be, it's easier than ever. It's easier than ever to invest, guys, with communities like this. So I highly recommend you guys, you know, if this is something you want to do, you do it.
Yeah. But like the community is what I make money off of, like their ideas.
Honestly, your enthusiasm gets me so pumped up. Like, we're filming this right now. It's midnight.
I know.
It's midnight.
I'm ready to load
Monday,
up a Robinhood account right now.
On a Monday night, and I'm like pumped right now.
Wait till you see the robots, man. When you see the robots, you are really going to get jacked. No, I want everybody, listen, if there was one word of advice I'd have for people right now, it's do your homework on robots. Do your homework on humanoids. Just do your homework. Watch the videos. Just do your homework. Go out. Don't listen to me. Spend 30 hours just researching humanoid bots and watch the channels. There are a few really cool like YouTube channels that are tracking this stuff. Watch them so that you're mentally prepared if and when you choose to make an investment in whether it's Tesla for their humanoids or some other company.
Could you do us a favor? Could you send me the best resources that someone could look at for humanoid robots? And we'll
link them in the description.
Link them in the description. Michael Saylor gave us a whole bunch of resources that people could look at for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And he listed them out. Like, go look at this and this and this and this and watch this video. We'll link to that in the description and just make it easy on someone that if they want to learn, just tell us the best resources that the average person could just go read or watch or listen to.
Done.
Something.
These guys are my friends. I'll list them for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, should we look at them? Let's look at them. All right. Let me see. Uh-oh. We gotta go to the full episode first.
The market.
This episode's 2 hours long. Like, it's probably worth checking out, guys. On the iced coffee hour. All right, let's go here and let's go to the humanoid hub on X. I hate X. It's just, look, see right away. What is this on my damn? See how crazy toxic and disgusting this X is? Shit's crazy, bro. All right, the humanoid hub. But then you have cool shit like this on X. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. But look, this is
about this before.
This is Elon's. Like, this is amazing stuff. How many people do you think, the average American that pours money into the S&P 500, how many of you think are actually taking the time to get educated on this stuff so that they can make high conviction decisions when they're investing?
They're saying pick up the Model X 4-link. This is, of all of the images out there, this is the only one that is involved with production.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the microwave and stuff like that. That is absolutely, you know, this has something to do with production. And I've always felt that the lines that are the most ripe with the lowest hanging fruit are the Model X and S. First, they don't have the underbody giga casting. So their whole underbody has like lots of spot welding, lots of sheet metal that has to be put in place and everything. So it's like plenty of stations that you can do that. Their production volume is low. It's like what, one shift a day for 5 days a week. You know, don't worry about disrupting cash flow or anything like that, or production. You can go in there and you can play on it. So this might be kind of a hint that that's where they're going to do it first. And once they're confident that it has the skill set, then they can start moving it over to the higher volume lines when they're ready to do it. The other thing is that the X and S sales are kind of flagging. And if you want something to kind of bring it up, is instead of putting a plaid badge on there, is you want to have, instead of a plaid badge, I want to have a badge on there that says Body by Optimus.
Yeah.
And as soon as you do that, I think a lot of people will say, yeah, I'll buy that just because.
I don't know about that. But I will say they need to make the X more spacious. If they make the X more spacious, I will buy another X. But as of right now, my wife doesn't want another X. We bought 2 X's. And the next car that she wants is an electric Mercedes. An electric Mercedes SUV. If the X gets better, more luxurious, more space, people will buy the X.
Because it's unique. It's like it was built by a humanoid. The first one. Yeah.
That's really cool. Good knowledge here. Model X, Model S. This is makes sense.
So this is an actual robot that's working in Tesla factories to build the X and S, which is crazy. And this is what I mean by saying when manufacturing gets moved to the US, the average American, they get tricked by these memes on TikTok and stuff showing fat people, American fat people working in factories. That's not what it's going to be. It's going to be a shit ton of engineers, automation experts, AI experts. It's going to create a whole bunch of high-paying jobs and everybody thinks the cost is going to be crazier, which right now it is, but it's actually going to be an even playing field because at some point, China's going to be using automation and robots for their factories and not their people either. They have to figure out a way to make money and to grow their GDP without manufacturing jobs. Because these robots are going to replace a lot of manufacturing jobs because if they don't, they're not going to be able to compete with the countries who are implementing robotics into their manufacturing. And if America doesn't wake up and start focusing on robotics, we're going to get left behind as well. Let's keep going. Look, they got robots fighting each other in China. That's crazy.
Height. Oh, look at that. Attack your opponent with. Wow, look at this. Look at this knockout. And he's showing a lot of provocative moves. And
I'm sorry, robots boxing ain't the future. Ain't no way. Let's keep looking. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Robotic tasks, in which case you'll have humans with like AirPods and like glasses, and there'll be some robot overlord controlling the human through cameras by just like telling it what to do and like having a bounding box around the thing you're supposed to pick up. And so you have like human meat robots.
Like the AIs are out there doing computer programming, and like the most valuable thing that humans can do is like be amazing robots. Yeah. Now, that being said, I think Moravec's paradox is a little bit fake. I think the main reason that robots are worse than at like being a robot than they are at software engineering is the internet exists for software engineering, like GitHub exists, and there is no equivalent thing. Like if you had mocap of everyone's actions as they were like going about their daily lives for like some reasonable fraction of the human population, robotics is also like close to solved, on track to be solved at the same rate that software engineering is on track to be solved.
The really scary future.
Listen, y'all spoke way over my head. I'm too stupid for that, to understand that. Look at this. Imagine 24-hour labor. Even if it's not perfect, if it has a 20% failure rate, 24-hour labor pays for itself. Crazy times to be alive, huh? Crazy time to be alive. All right, so NVIDIA earnings is tomorrow. It's going to be a crazy day for that. The stock market is going to be insane. Let's check out what experts on CNBC are saying about NVIDIA's guidance. And CNBC tends to be anti-Elon, is for what I've seen. I could be wrong here, but so I do like to hear their perspective on Tesla, because it's definitely not biased. Why is all my shit muted, bro?
Lower in early trade this morning. That's after FHFA Director Bill Pulte tweeted he was not happy with FICO, responding to a post about the high cost of credit checks. Fellow consumer credit reporting agencies TransUnion and Equifax also pulling back after that tweet. But, David, that original response was one of the worst single days for FICO shares in about 2 decades.
Yeah, we saw that last week, and obviously, as you just point out, it hasn't gotten much better. NVIDIA getting a boost this morning, though. That's the stock we're talking about there. You see it up almost 3% ahead of tomorrow's earnings report. The company reportedly working on a lower-cost Blackwell chip for China. That's according to Reuters. Joining us now is Cantor Fitzgerald analyst C.J. Muse. Has a buy rating on NVIDIA. His price target, $200 a share. So suffice to say, he's bullish. You know, a lot of focus going to be, CJ, on the guidance, of course. You are looking for a guidance for this quarter, or the July quarter, to be much better than feared. Why?
So, I would say that the execution of the supply chain for the full system racks coming out of Asia has really accelerated in a positive way in the last kind of 2 to 3 weeks. And that really gives confidence that.
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. That seems to be the sentiment across the board. I have this NVIDIA put open right now. You can see earnings is coming up. And I'm up 42%. So I'm going to keep this put all the way till it expires, because I think I'll collect the 324 very soon, especially with the social sentiment that I'm seeing on the internet, through people who don't even rock with Elon. Like, that 200 price could be real. And when I look at NVIDIA, it's definitely getting close to the overbought place. It's not quite at overbought like Tesla was, but it's getting close, and it's getting close to the top of the Bollinger Band. But that Bollinger Band is booming, and you guys can see the volume. This right here, this indicator right here, tells you the volume of people buying and selling NVIDIA right now. We didn't have this type of volume with Tesla. We have real volume here with NVIDIA. And so this volume could be pushing the price up. You can see here the volume starts to come down a bit. So it could start turning around, but there's quite a bit of there's about $10 almost in growth that we can see here before it reaches the top of the Bollinger. We'll see tomorrow what happens, bro. I got a feeling it's going to skyrocket tomorrow. And if it does, then I'll probably get out of this position, because I'll definitely be looking to get back in. And again, I don't mind buying NVIDIA shares. So, for example, if I can get back in, if I can close my trade tomorrow at like 80% profit, and I can get back in tomorrow or at the end of this month with a strike of, let's see, 135 like it is right now, I'll do it. Maybe 130, depending on what the premiums look like, the delta looks like. I'm going to be looking to get back into NVIDIA, get back into Tesla, get back into Palantir, get back into HIMS. You know, what's HIMS at right now? We said we would look at all of these. HIMS is look, HIMS is bearish. So this is going to, the RSI is going to come down probably to the 50. It's probably going to stabilize a little bit here at the 50. You guys can see it's continuously coming down. We'll see. we'll see how this starts to change. But I'm looking to get into HIMS at the end of the month. I'll get into HIMS as well. So everything's looking pretty good. Let's keep
that
watching.
The Blackwell product cycle in the July quarter will truly ramp. Obviously, the offset there is the H20 embargo to China. And so I think the buy side is thinking, anywhere from 43 to 46 billion. We previewed 46 billion guide, given the strong execution from the supply chain. I would say that I think anything over 45 would be well received and would likely highlight sequential growth, which I think would be a clearing event. And then very importantly, very strong growth in the second half of the year, where we think the underlying demand trends would support 50% half-on-half data center growth. And if we get any sort of inkling from management that that's what's coming, then I think the stock pushes higher for sure.
Yeah, well, the commentary out of the hyperscalers around earnings certainly shouldn't dissuade people from believing that. But what about China? You talk about almost the loss of $15 billion in data center revenues as a result of the H20 no longer being available. They took the $5.5 billion write down. But can we expect to get any clarity from them on this call around what they expect in terms of Chinese demand?
I doubt they would pre-announce here before, speaking with Washington, D.C. and the administration. I think that they will highlight the view that, as they've made abundantly clear, is that this is a real negative, call from the U.S. government in the sense that, we're taking away billions of dollars. We're bringing scale to the local players in China. And as they scale and benefit from the purchases there that should have gone to NVIDIA, that's going to help them develop the software as well as the hardware to become more competitive to NVIDIA. I don't think they'll catch up, but a more competitive player in China selling elsewhere outside of China to some of the other kind of tier 3 countries, is not a good thing, I think, for the competitive landscape for AI and for the U.S. to drive that. So I imagine they'll speak a bit to that, but I don't think they'll talk directly to whether their new Blackwell offering will actually be approved.
Shorter term, CJ, I wonder, is this particular print any harder to handicap than ones we've seen the past few quarters? And is the stock running hot into it or not, do you think?
Is it difficult to handicap? Absolutely, in the sense that, we've got to take $15 billion of China out. I took $5 billion out of July. If it's 8 or 9, then obviously I'm wrong, right? And you could see further weakness. But I think the good news is, clear visibility to acceleration into the second half. And so if we do see a miss, I think that's the bottom. What else are you planning for on the short side? And you've got, the supply chain executing. You've got China completely de-risked, and you've got a very strong, second half ramp. And the stock, just turned positive year to date, and you've got real positive earnings momentum into the second half of the year. And so, even if they do miss, by $1 billion or $2 billion, I would suggest the stock would get back to where, we started the day, within a day or two. So, I do think
that's what I was saying yesterday.
Heavily favors being long here. And, over the next 3 months, I would envision NVIDIA being, the top performer here in semis, as AI is truly the one part of the market.
I have to re-listen to this part because here's my feeling. AI absolutely, look at this, guys. Look at this Tesla robot here. And just think about how good ChatGPT has gotten in the last year alone. I remember when you couldn't do any research on anything current. It was like 2018 and below, right? Now it's freaking unbelievable. You don't even need, I think SaaS is going to be a industry you need to get out of. I genuinely believe at some point booking apps, software as a service, CRMs, apps for finance, stuff like that. I believe AI at some point is going to ChatGPT could replace all that with their GPT apps. It's getting insane. And so SaaS companies, we thought Google had to be worried. I think SaaS companies have to be worried. Now, with that being said, like, look, I see it the same way as robots. Think about what robots looked like 10 years ago, and look at this. Now, it's not perfect, but I'm buying one. This is not perfect. Tearing a paper towel roll. That shit almost came off the damn. Damn, he about to knock it off, start a fire. About to knock a fire. This was big. This is Model X parts. It's working in the factory, right? Opening things. A microwave. Little detailed things like this. And people are like, you know, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal because what this could look like a year from now could be completely next level. And so when you're investing in tech, you're investing not based on the price right now, but what's it going to look like 5 years from now? That's what you're doing, right? And what's selling the shovel right now is NVIDIA. They're the ones selling the shovel. This is the gold. NVIDIA is selling the shovel. But the guy who invented the wheel made a lot of money, but so did Ford. Ford made a lot of money, right? And so Tesla is Ford. This is Tesla's robot. Supposedly, this robot's gonna retail for $35,000. I 100% am going to buy one. So if just so for those of you guys who are new to my channel, I have a Model 3, I have a Cybertruck, I have a Model X, I had the semi-truck pre-ordered, waiting on that thing to get delivered. Like, I invest. So either you're investing in, for some reason, my stream just shit the bed. So either you're investing in NVIDIA or you're investing in NVIDIA and Tesla. If you're in QQQ, you're going to have exposure to both of these companies. But if you want to be aggressive, and like Chris Camillo was saying earlier, create a separate account where you can place big bets, right? Like Hook Magical, you want to place bets. These are the bets you want to place because you can 1,000x your money, right? That's an exaggeration. It's happened, but usually it's like 10, 100 baggers is what people want to do. Okay. So anyways, I'm looking at this and I'm like, bro, I'm loving this. And so I'm going to collect premiums on the way up with all of these NVIDIA things, except the problem is though, in the short term, in the long term, I'm all in AI and robotics without a doubt. The problem is return on capital. How long is it going to take you to make this money back? Is there an opportunity cost? Because here's what it could look like for some of you guys. You put your money in too early into these stocks, right? And you're waiting, a year goes by. You're waiting, goes up a little bit, and a year goes by. You're waiting, and it goes by. And then you're waiting, and boom, skyrockets. But you lost 3 years of making no money, right? This is part of the problem, is timing, and you can't time the market. So what you could do is set up a system of dollar cost averaging, making sure you have exposure to it through QQQ, or there's ETFs that focus on robotics and AI. You can invest in those. Or if you're really good at this shit and you have the time, you can just pour a bunch of money into whatever you think is gonna blow up. I think Tesla is gonna blow up. I think NVIDIA is gonna continue to blow up. They're going to take the stock market, our economy, to new heights that we never even imagined. And I watched an interview with Elon Musk where he talked about there's going to be he thinks robotics and AI is going to solve poverty. The average human will be wealthy because of AI and robotics, being able to leverage that superpower. People are going to be so productive that our global GDP is going to increase so high, it's going to be just everybody's going to be wealthy. It reminds me of like when, for example, a country like Norway, they strike oil and all of a sudden the entire country's GDP blows up, people's quality of life. The average citizen there makes six figures. That's what robotics and AI can do for the entire world. It's insane when you think about it. And a lot of people think that's what's going to solve all of these issues with wars and stuff like that. Because if people aren't struggling to get more, they're not going to have resentment, and at least that's the idea long term. And so I realize that's way out there, but I want it to be successful, and I'm willing to bet on it, right? So let's hear. I wanted him to repeat what he was saying real quick on what could happen during these earnings calls, even if, because right now things are being priced in, right? Even if, let's say, earnings expectations are met, right? Or they're above by a bit, right? So let's say earnings expectations, EPS is $5, just for easy math, okay? And it comes out that it's $5.25, okay? This is great. Does that mean that Nvidia is going to skyrocket? No. It could just stabilize, but it could also dip a bit. Okay? If it's $5, it could dip a bit because that was already priced in. People are expecting a huge beat on earnings. Is what I think. And then it'll skyrocket. But even if it just meets or misses by a little bit, right? And it comes down, what I think this gentleman was saying on this screen is that if it drops a bit, it's going to be a very short-term thing because people are betting on AI and robotics. And without a doubt in his mind, NVIDIA is going to continue to skyrocket because their moat, their technology, and the fact that they're the ones selling the shovels on an industry that is the next internet. It is the next Bitcoin, right? That's what this is. Don't miss, like, how many more waves y'all gonna miss?
And the stock, just turned positive year to date, and you've got real positive earnings momentum into this.
Sorry about that, guys.
Second half of the year, and so even if they do miss, by $1 billion or $2 billion, I would suggest the stock would get back to where we started the day, within a day or two.
Within a day or two.
I do think that risk reward heavily favors being long here, and over the next 3 months, I would envision NVIDIA being the top performer here in semis, as AI is truly the one part of the market where you have legs to growth in the second half, whereas we're worried about elsewhere in semis, pull-ins related to tariffs. So this is still the right place to be. And
so what I'm getting from that is, even if, no matter what scenario here, you should probably start buying NVIDIA now, because even if it misses earnings by $1 billion, this is in a day or two, it'll make up its losses and be up. But if it breaks even or it beats, or if it beats huge, it'll either stabilize or go up. So either way, you probably want to be in now. I think that's what he's saying. And that is why I am not selling my position here. Even though it's not a lot, it's not like a big position. I think I'm going to gain the majority of this tomorrow. And I'll let you guys know how it does. I might be closing this tomorrow and looking to get back in, open another position there. So this is good. I feel confident about tomorrow. I have conviction in this. I think I know what my game plan is tomorrow. Hopefully this helped you guys out as well. All righty. Cool, man. All righty. Did my live stream end? No, it's still up. Okay, I don't know why I got a notification that my live stream ended, but we Gucci. All right, let's see what else we have on the agenda here. Now, CNN, on the other hand, is over here. They're reporting that there's tremendous uncertainty in the market, even though it's a stupid green day. This was 5 hours ago. And so I've been bullish this whole live stream, but I love to hear perspectives from different channels. And people will comment, Chris, you got to get your news from the right place. CNN is fake news. Fox is fake news. All of these, everybody's fake news. That's okay. It's good to get there. You got to look for the fruit, the gems. Everybody has their biases. That's okay. We can use common sense. We can use common sense to navigate through all the biases, right? It's good to get different perspectives, especially with people who have no dog in the fight. Is that the right saying? I don't know. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and check out what CNN has to say, why they are fear-mongering right now.
This after President Trump backed off a new threat of 50% tariffs on the EU, which he made after pulling back on a threat of reciprocal tariffs that he made on the EU, which he first made on Liberation Day. So he threatened them, he backed off, he re-threatened them, and he backed off, if you're keeping score at home right now. So how clear do voters think the president is on the issue of tariffs? One man has the answer. CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. Crystal clear, Harry, right?
I got to admit, while you were reading that back, I was confused, and I'm supposed to know this stuff. And you know what, Johnny B? The voters, they are confused too. Trump, a clear plan for tariffs and trade. The majority answer here is no. Donald Trump does not have a clear plan for tariffs and trade. This is the one thing that perturbs voters and the markets more than anything else. It's not whether or not you put tariffs on or not. It's whether you are going to actually do it and stick to your guns. The American public does not believe that Donald Trump sticks to his guns.
Guys, it's just negotiations. We don't know if he has a plan or not. I will say this. Yesterday, I criticized him a little bit because he said something, and I got to go back and remember what it is, but he said, this is the feeling it gave me. He said something, and then his next thing after he made the claim, he said, I'm not going to go into the details, but we're good. And this is exactly why people are voting no. I'm not saying that he doesn't know what he's doing. And people flip-flop all the time. I'm a business owner. I got to negotiate with people all the time. And I might feel strongly about something. And as we get deeper into negotiations, I find a little bit of common ground and some compromise to make sure that we both feel like we got the best deal, right? And essentially, I think that's what every good negotiator does. So the American people don't have to know the details, because he can't give the details that might give up some of his leverage. But I can tell you that once he goes through things, he should break down how the scenario, how everything went down and why it went down the way that it went. So the next time we get into a scenario like this, we the people have more conviction in what he's doing. We haven't seen that yet. Now, at the same time, it's still early in his administration. So I'm giving him grace, and so far, I graded him a C for the first 100 days. I think he's at a B right now for me. I think we've seen progress. He's evolved. He's let go a little bit of the aggressiveness on his tariffs. He's still aggressive, but you can see that he's willing to compromise for the better of our country, is what I've seen. So let's keep watching.
55% say no, he does not have a clear plan for trades and tariffs. And I will note, of course, the center of the electorate, the all-important independent vote, 64% of independents say no. Donald Trump does not have a clear plan for trade and tariffs. And I will note that this no number has been creeping up, according to CBS News YouGov. So as Donald Trump's presidency go on, the American people think he's becoming less clear over time.
Harry, if only there were a way to measure the level of uncertainty that people...
Meanwhile, keep in mind, this guy is literally doing, we were watching this yesterday. He's doing press conferences almost every day. He's traveling and doing deals almost every day. I've never seen a president work as much as this guy's doing at 78 years old. So hate him or love him, his work ethic is impeccable. Number one. Number two, bro, not only did he get on his jet, he's literally on the airstrip talking to media, answering their questions, but he invites them onto the plane and says, let's continue these interviews on the plane to me going to another country to work even more. Where this guy's not sleeping. At 78 years old, rich as hell. Oh, he's failed so many business. He owns Mar-a-Lago. That shit alone is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay? He's rich. He don't need to do this stuff. And so it's incredible seeing his work ethic, even at the level that he has right now, regardless if you like him or not. And I think Bert Blends, I think you got a point. I think people just don't understand either. Most people are not following this the same way CNN is. So using these polls to me are just dumb. But let's keep going.
That people feel. Yeah, if only there were a way. It turns out there is a way. Okay, trade policy uncertainty index. Get this, compare now to last year at this time. The trade uncertainty, trade policy uncertainty index through the roof, up 846% versus a year ago. They have been looking at this index going all the way back. You go all the way back to 1960. It is higher now than in any month prior to 2025. We just are consistently breaking records this year.
And this means nothing. Our deficit keeps growing. This is what the people voted for. They knew he was going to do tariffs, and they knew that he was going to try to use tariffs in order to clear up some of our deficit. Did he add some more to the bill? Are we going to get in deeper deficit? It sounds like it, but it also sounds like, this is his investment towards trying to get ahead of our deficits and decrease it, right? And so the American people voted for this. We knew the uncertainty was going to happen because of the trade wars, because of the tariffs. But we also knew we couldn't keep going in the same direction we were going. Uncertainty just means you know where we're going. And before this year, we knew we were just getting into more deficits and there was no plan. So everything was kind of the same shit. So we were investing based on what we knew. Now, there's been a lot of changes, and this is what the American people voted for, whether you agree with it or not, whether you voted for Trump or not. And so, to me, this is, and Donald Trump, to his defense, not that I'm trying to defend him, he made it real clear, there's going to be pain. Maybe you can't buy 30 dolls for your kids, but you'll still be able to buy 5 really nice dolls. That's what he said. And I was like, damn, that's one way of putting it. But what's the point of this, CNN? Just for a headline? I don't know.
Year whereby it seems the further along we go, the more uncertainty there is in terms of the trade policy in this country. So the voters are thinking one thing, and the reason that they are thinking one thing, that is that Donald Trump does not have a clear plan for trade and tariffs, is because, simply put, it doesn't seem, at least according to this metric, that he does. So everything is kind of
and the metric doesn't matter.
Matching up here, whereby the voters are agreeing with what the anecdotes are saying, which is what the actual policy is. That is, there is tremendous uncertainty.
846% is usually outside the margin of error. Just saying.
Just a little bit. Just a little.
All right. So I mentioned that the president backed off his most recent threat of 50% tariffs on the EU. Frankly, I've lost track of where he is on the tariffs he threatened on Apple.
Yeah.
But picking on Apple and the EU, which he did in one single day last week, it was Friday. What's special about those particular targets?
Yeah, I think the thing that's going on here is that Donald Trump is picking on folks who are very important in terms of the American economy. What are we talking about? Well, what is number one in America? What's the number one smartphone in America? It is the iPhone, 155 million active units alone. It's the number one smartphone in America. How about what's the number one trade partner to the United States of America? It's the European Union.
Thank you, Arvin. Appreciate it.
4.9% of U.S. GDP in 2024 is because of the trade with the European Union. So when Donald Trump is threatening these two companies, Apple, and then, of course, not the European Union, it's not a company, but these two entities, what's essentially going on is he is threatening the U.S. economy, and that is why we've seen the markets do a little bit.
This is just bad. This is just bad reporting out of. This is just not good faith. When you invest, you're thinking future, 3 to 5 years ahead, guys. The American people voted because we agreed that we've been taken advantage of. Part of the reason why we are in a national deficit is because we keep propping up these countries, like these European countries, where their citizens have free medical, free school, free everything, right? And we're over here struggling in America with the same social programs we don't compete with these other European countries, who, by the way, this is why Trump always brings up the NATO thing, whether you agree with it or not. We are spending more in military defense that the European Union, that Canada, all these countries in the West are benefiting from. And because they're benefiting from it, for example, you have countries like Canada who are supposed to be spending 2% of their GDP in military defense, and they're only spending 1.2%. Well, if America didn't do their fair share, we'd have more money to fund our social programs, right? Don't you guys think that's a problem? The American people did, so they voted for Trump. Okay? And so, yes, Europe is 4.9% of our GDP, of the USA's GDP. Okay? Let's look up how much is America. Besides the military, we already see 0.8 is military, and it's a lot more than that, because if we didn't step in every time there was a problem with these Eastern countries ready to just take over these Eastern European countries, ready to just take them, right? If they weren't part of NATO, they would be screwed. The same way Ukraine is seeing these struggles, trust me, there's other countries that could be seeing the same type of action if it wasn't for America having the military that we have. But let's see how much of Europe's GDP is from America. Come on, ChatGPT. Pick it up. Pick it up. Why are you running so slow? Probably because I'm streaming and my building doesn't have the best. Look at this, guys. Why, CNN, why don't you share this? 20% of Europe's exports, 21% go to the United States, guys. 21%. Of their exports come to America. So who do you think is hurting more from this trade war between Europe and America? Just think about it. Why isn't CNN sharing that to the American people who are watching them? Because they have an agenda. But the fact is, when I ship something to Europe, they want to charge me an exorbitant amount in VATs and VATs. When we ship vehicles over there, their tariffs are way higher. They don't spend the amount of money that they should be spending for their military. So here we are getting into way worse deficits, and our people are struggling. And it's just about being fair. The American people voted for this. So I don't mind what he's doing with Europe. Now with Apple, I feel differently about it, because Apple already promised that they were going to invest $500 billion in the next 5 years into America. They're already opening a factory in Detroit. They're already saying that they're going to create 20,000 jobs. I think it was like somewhere in Arizona or something like that. I do feel like Tim Cook is playing ball, but Trump wants more out of it. And that's part of the reason why sometimes he's just too aggressive for me. But at the same time, that's his way of negotiating. And so by now, we've got a sense of that's just his style. And I think that Tim Cook understands that as well, the CEO of Apple. He understands what he's dealing with. Most smart people with common sense understand what they're dealing with, and they'll deal with it accordingly. I don't think it's going to be make or break. But I disagree with how Trump is dealing with Apple. I do agree with how he's dealing with Europe. CNN just wants to make Trump look bad in all angles.
A little bit of this. Keep going. All right, good. That made coming in today worthwhile. Harriet, thank you very much for all of.
And it's so funny because I'll get comments where people will be like, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, I guarantee you I make more money than all three of these people combined. And I probably am more involved and this stuff affects me more than all of these people here combined. But you're okay with listening to this shit. But the moment I speak on it, I'm just a barber.
All of that, Kate?
You totally read my mind. I was like, how long will it go? All right, Harry, you can stop now.
And this is the perspective that I have as a taxpayer. That's the perspective that I have. Like, here I am, I'm employing hundreds of people, and, you know, it affects me, but the moment I talk about it, my peers want me to shut the hell up and want to listen to this bullshit.
Stop now.
A trade loophole closed on Friday, and it could have a massive...
Cool. So that was that topic. And look, I know I could be wrong on stuff. So I do appreciate sometimes, like some of the comments that I get, bro, it changes my mind. Or I dig deeper into a certain topic that I had an opinion on, and I realize it's a little bit more complex. I need to evolve my opinion. I have no problem with that. It's when when people come into my comment section, name calling and shit like that, is stupid. All right, so we already knew about the Shein loopholes closing and stuff. I'm happy about that. Let's see where we're at, where the stock market is right now. How my positions are looking right now. And yeah, it's solid. Any breaking news? Let's see. I like to use Martin Shkreli's platform here for this. So I will go on Godel or Godel, and this is all Apple stuff. This is not what I had. Let me log into my actual account. All right, cool. Here we go. So if I look at my main screen here, I can see news and stuff here. So stock market rebound, we knew that. Vanguard, VOO, grabbed $60 billion. It's time to ditch individual. Is it time to? Ooh, that's a good article. Let me see if there's actual video for this, because that's interesting. Hold on, my business partner is calling me. Let me answer this phone call. Yo, what's up?
What was the final agreement with Dennis? What percentage is he getting? Is it 25?
No, that's hold on one Yeah, I got you. As soon as I got them, I'll put them to work for sure. All right, sounds good. All right, later. Sorry, guys. Business partner. We had some important stuff. All right. With that being said, so let's look at this article. This is interesting. So, Vanguard's VOO grabbed $60 billion. Is it time to ditch individual stocks? All right. So stocks haven't had a good 2025 so far, considering the ongoing uncertainty about tariffs, recession concerns. I believe market ups and downs will continue for the near term. Looking at the high market volatility, several investors have moved towards exchange-traded funds, ETFs, right? April saw a massive inflow into ETFs, and Vanguard trounced the competition, which is what I invest in, VOO. Inflated in size and pushed past several other similar ETFs tracking the S&P 500. The ETF is dominating 2025 inflows and continues to charge higher. VOO has historically benefited from the steady inflows and has generated reliable returns for investors, according to the update from Eric Balachunas, a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. The U.S. ETF market has reached $400 billion year to date as of mid-May 2025. Out of this, Vanguard VOO is leading the charge and has already attracted over $60 billion this year in inflow. Reflecting its strength in the high competitive industry, even Warren Buffett invested in VOO, and the fund is expected to amass assets totaling $164 billion by the end of the year. So is it time to put your money in VOO, ditch individual stocks? Let's dive deep and decide. Now, with my system, what I do, again, is I'm investing in VOO and QQQ, okay? That's what I'm doing. But I'm also selling puts on stocks because I have a smaller account, okay, on stocks. If I get assigned on a stock, that's a stock I'm willing to own anyways. So it goes through a filter. And if I get assigned those stocks, it's at a price point that I like and it's under fair value or fair value. So I'm willing to buy it. Okay? That's the only time that I'm owning individual stocks. If I get assigned. Right? And if I get assigned, either I'm going to hold or sell covered calls and keep collecting premiums. Covered calls. It's a flywheel. All right. Bro, and it's been working amazing. And I didn't create this on my own. I didn't figure this out. Between Invest with Brandon, How to Retire Rich, all these YouTube channels, it's kind of I learned from all of them. And then I just have my own thing that I do because I already had small businesses. So let's continue with this article. So Vanguard is a leading ETF that has attracted $60 billion this year. As one of the industry-leading ETFs, Vanguard VOO is a low-cost ETF which offers steady dividend income. Are you ahead or behind on retirement? Okay, so that's an ad that I was reading. Stupid head. When it comes to low-cost ETFs, though, Vanguard has set the gold standard. Excuse me. The Vanguard S&P 500 ETF VOO has become the core portfolio of several investors. The fund tracks the S&P 500 and is a cost-effective way to bet on some of the biggest stocks in the U.S., okay, across sectors and industries. However, it is focused on the tech sector with 30% allocation of funds. This is followed by the financial sector with 14% of its funds and the consumer discretionary sector with 10%, which I love. VOO invests in Magnificent 7, which are the top 7 stocks in America. And if you do not want to take company-specific risks, this is an ideal ETF to invest in the tech sector. This is why I like VOO, but I also invest in QQQ, which is even more tech. This is the NASDAQ, which is more tech intensive, which is more growth. This is not for people who need their money soon, okay? This is for long-term investors. All right, let's continue. The fund has 505 stocks, and its biggest stock holdings include Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, all companies that I love. The maximum allocation in a stock is 6.75%. And apart from these 4 stocks, The remaining 501 stocks have a weightage lower than 3%. So this is intense with Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, and Amazon. Okay, Tesla is up there as well. The Vanguard VOO has an expense ratio of only 0.03%, and its NAV is $532. It has remained flat in 2025, but is up 9.32% in 12 months. The fund has an annual average return of 10%, which is very impressive historically. It's 30 days in the last 10 years, by the way, guys, that number is like 15%. And the QQQ in the last 10 years is like 17%. Last year, we made like 24%. Okay. And it pays quarterly dividends. So the S&P 500 let's see what the quarterly dividends are real quick. All right, in the meantime, we'll continue with this article. And so look, the current market, it's led investors toward broad-based ETFs instead of individual stocks. This not only reduces company-specific risk, but also ensures steady income. So there's no guarantee, obviously, that VOO won't see dips. Obviously, it will. But in the long term, it's a no-brainer. So that's that article. Love it. You know, it just gives me more and more conviction. This is VOO's recent dividend history. So it's nothing insane, but you do get dividends from it. And you guys can see the last dividend payout was March 21st or March 26th, and it was $1.79 a share, which is equivalent to terrible. No, I'm just kidding. An average yield of 1.5% to 2% annually, which isn't horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. You still get some exposure to dividends, but even better, you get growth and returns. So once you're ready to retire and you need dividend income, you can go that route. I'll probably still be selling options, but I'll be selling options on like VOO, QQQ, more stable alternatives than individual stocks. Cool. All right, I want to watch this video here because we've been watching Chris Camille. No, that's too long. All right, let me see. So why $2 million isn't rich anymore, according to Gen Z, I should say. This is a channel, The Money Guys. Shout out to them. Y'all go check out their channel, The Money Guys. This is their channel, The Money Guys Show. I remember I started following them early on. They blew up, man. They didn't have no subscribers when I was first watching. They blew up. Congratulations, guys. Nonetheless, let's check out what they have to say about this. Why $2 million isn't rich anymore, according to Gen Z. This is important.
Have a perception problem, especially Gen Z, with what is financial success.
Brent, I am so excited to talk about this because oftentimes I think that it's not uncommon for one generation to suggest that the generation coming behind them they haven't got it figured out yet, or maybe they get something wrong, or maybe they don't know what real life is. And I think that when it comes to finances,
what real life is,
it is no different. And I worry that there is a skewed.
This is why Gen Z doesn't like older people. To assume they don't know what life is like, stuff like that. You got to give these young guys the benefit of the doubt. They know a lot of shit. They know a lot of stuff, man. So this information age has made information so accessible to people. They know a lot of stuff, but there's just too much noise, and it's overwhelming. And so it's almost like you work a lot, and you don't really get ahead. because you're not strategic enough. And it's hard to think strategically when there's so much noise, right? And so the older folks, they need to stop minimizing Gen Z. They need to stop criticizing them as if they're lazy and all this shit. And instead just elevate them. Give them the information that they need. Relate with them. Show Gen Z that you can relate to their challenges and offer them some wisdom, right? Because a lot of times they're gonna shut you out. And I probably have some Gen Z people listening to me right now. You know, my kids, I got to navigate a little bit differently when I'm mentoring my kids, because you can't be a prophet in your own land. My kids be acting like they know that their dad is smart and successful, but it's harder sometimes to get through to them. It's harder to get through to my wife sometimes, right? Because of the prophet in your own land paradigm, right? So anyways, let's continue listening.
Huge perception of reality out there.
Well, let's face it. We live in a social media world where you have people out there putting their highlight reel only, not actually expressing what real life looks like. And they're showing you the latest and greatest cars, their new big houses. It doesn't surprise me at all that, because we actually did content a few years ago. YouGov had a survey, and people just think everybody's rich. And that's why I would tell you, when in doubt, just understand you are richer likely than you realize, because social media is skewing your perception.
And so what's great is Fidelity had this wonderful study that came out, and they said, hey, what do you perceive as wealthy? What net worth would you say defines someone being financially successful? And what I love about how this survey broke it out is the respondents were broken out by the generation to which they belong. So that way you could see how it's changed through time. And I thought the numbers were really, really interesting.
Well, look at this. I mean, by the way, we pick on boomers, but boomers are actually the ones living in retirement, and yet they perceive what is financial success from a net worth standpoint is basically the old school $1 million. $1
million would mean you're financially successful.
If you're my generation, despite what everybody says that I'm a boomer too, no, I'm Gen X, the forgotten generation. We're a little over 5 million. I was actually shocked by this. When I saw the content and the research from Empower, I was like, wait a minute, that's much, much higher than what I perceive. Because if you ask me what is financial success, where you can probably let your money do all the work for you, $2 to $3 million is a decent chunk of money. Millennials is close to $6 million. But Bo, I'll let you do the big unveil, because this is why we did the show title, what it is. Gen Z definitely is skewing differently than everybody else.
It was wild. Again, the question was, and this is what Empower asked, how would you define financial success? What net worth would you have to attain to become financially successful? And when it came to the Gen Z respondents, they said $9.5 million, almost deca-millionaire status, in order to be financially successful. That is far different from millennials, far different than Gen X, and far outside the stratosphere of what you and I get to see on our day-to-day lives.
So I think I always like to bring things back to reality. So we actually researched what is the top 10%. If you're in the top 10% of Americans, what would your net worth be? And the research shows us it's actually $2 million.
$2 million. So the $2 million to be in the top decile of Americans, and yet Gen Z thinks in order to just be able to call yourself successful, you have to have almost 5 times that amount.
Now, what I don't like about this is that if you have a perception that your number is so high on what you'll need, I just don't want you not getting out of the starting gates, because you're like, well, if it's this overwhelming, why even start? Don't let social media, don't let the media make you feel like you're poorer than you actually are. Any little activity or just process of starting your financial journey will yield tremendous results in the future. So just do something today.
Now, Empower did not stop here. They didn't just stop at net worth. They said, okay, well, let's step away from net worth. What income level would be required for you to say someone is financially successful? And again, the respondents were broken out by the generation to which they belong. And I thought that this was kind of fascinating. The boomers, that class of respondent, said that, if you're right there at 6-figure status, if you're right at $99,000 of household income or individual income, that would make you financially successful.
Yeah, boomers, $100,000. They're living it. They're in it. Gen X, here's my generation once again. $212,000.
Right, great living.
Okay.
Then you get to millennials, you get to my generation. They said, okay, if you're someone who makes $180,000, you are financially successful.
But once again, Gen Z, holy cow.
Almost $600,000 of income in order to be
This
considered
is why
financially
I'm
successful.
starting to realize why everybody wants to have a YouTube channel.
That's right. That's what
There's
they're
this
basing it
false
off of.
perception that everything out there, this is the way you have to have success. Do you see the disconnect?
Wait, what did I miss here?
Cow. Almost $600,000 of income in order to be
This is
considered
why
financially
I'm starting
successful.
to realize why everybody wants to have a YouTube channel.
That's right. That's what
There's
they're
this
basing it
false
off of.
perception that everything out there, this is the way you have to have success. Do you see?
I also think I don't think it's I think things are evolving. I think that people see more. There's more streams of income now than ever. Most people can have multiple streams of income more than ever before. You have access to income from TikTok, from freaking Uber, right? From gig economies. Most people are working remotely, right? They don't care about having a portfolio of real estate anymore, of assets. It's no longer retire with $5 million in your retirement account and now you can retire. When people can live remotely anywhere and have the lifestyle that and make money from whatever they want anywhere in this new day and age. So I do think that young people are prioritizing income more than they are assets and net worth, more so than ever these days, and it's more possible than ever these days.
You see the disconnect. So, like I said, I worry for Gen Z, the youngest generation. They think they don't make as much as their peers. They're worried that they have to have a huge net worth. Guys,
you have a strong point there. You have a strong point there. When you hear people getting interviewed on the street, you ever see those street interviews? People are like, how much do you make? And everybody, even nurses, are making $500,000 a year somehow. But the math ain't mathing. Let's look at share the percentage of people making 100K, 250K, and 500K plus in America. Let's see what these numbers look like. Because I do think that people do have this common misconception. I'm not saying it's not possible, but on social media, everyone looks like they're making $500,000 a year. All right, check out these numbers. These numbers might surprise you. It's higher than I thought. Now, this is households. I don't like households. Let's do individuals. Because that makes sense as a household. In the meantime, we'll keep watching this.
Don't fall into these lies. You have so much opportunity. This is still, I believe, the best time to start your financial journey. Don't let somebody else pull you in the wrong direction and you miss out on the greatest opportunity, because you're a billionaire of time. And if you're a billionaire of time, that's going to make it so much easier to harness that power of compounding growth and put your army of dollar bills to work.
And remember, at the end of the day, personal finance is indeed personal. So what defines financial success for you is very much dependent upon your circumstances. Brian,
now, we got this information. We got the data, okay? 21% of Americans are making $100,000 or more. 21%. Which means the majority of people on social media that you see flexing don't even make $100,000 or more. The majority of people don't, okay? 3% of people make $250,000 a year or more. So if you look at your timeline, let's say you follow 10,000 people, or let's say you follow 1,000, chances are only 31 of those people out of the 1,000 you follow make $250,000 or more. And it just depends on your demographics as well, right? Your circle, the type of people you're around. This number could be higher, it could be lower. In any case, 0.8% of the people that you follow make $500,000 or more. But I guarantee you more than 0.8% of the people you follow on social media look like they're balling. Look like they're balling, but they're not. Reality is they're not. Okay? I make well over this. I didn't even know that was 0.8% of the population. God is good. I am counting my blessings. Thank you, Lord. Because I can tell you right now, this is possible for a lot of you guys. So I get why Gen Z believes in this number, and I think that's good. They should believe in this number. They should believe that they can do it. But the way that we're doing it is where we're being led astray. Social media is lying to us. The way that this is done, honestly, is more in line of what these guys preach than what you're seeing on social media with a lot of the financial influencers out there. Okay? I did it through my main job, becoming a top 10% income earner in my main job. Live on half. Take the other half and invest it in small businesses, real estate, or stocks. Do that for a decade while living below your means, and you will become part of this group right here. Some of you guys will be the 1% of the 1%, which is a whole nother group. That's FU money group. I'm on my journey there. That's what I'm trying to get to. I want to own, my goal one day is to own a family office. You guys want to see what a family office is? Let me see. And the reason why is because I'm led by God. I believe he's going to bless me with these resources because he knows I'm going to be a vessel. I'm going to do what he would want me to do with that type of power and resources, right? And I'm going to try to instill that in my family tree. So let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to find something short and concise that's not going to take forever so that it doesn't make this video an hour long. All these videos are long as shit. Excuse my language. You know what? It's worth just watching this. I love this guy right here. Analyzing Finance with Nick. This is worth the watch. It's going to be 17 minutes long. Let's watch it. I love this guy's channel.
Welcome to Analyzing Finance with Nick. In this video, I'm going to explain what a family office is, what it does, what it takes to have a family office of your own, and why is it the dream of every financial professional to have a family office of their own or to work at a family office. First, let's start with definitions. A family office is an investment firm that manages the money solely of one family. And it's usually an ultra high net worth individual who had earned the money through either starting a business or inheritance, and then builds out a staff independently to manage the family's assets. This could be in the case of a new money family office, a founder who has a liquidity event, sells their company for hundreds of millions of dollars, and now needs to deploy the capital. And the owners of the family office are the founder of the wealth and the future estate, which is usually spouse and descendants. The other type of family office is there's also old money family offices, which have been around for generations and often come in the form of a foundation where they manage the money of the same family, but the original founder who made the money and set everything up has been long deceased. There are also multi-family offices, which are family offices that are not owned by a single family, but instead serve a few select families in the same capacity as if a single family office was to be run independently by their own family. And I'll elaborate more on multifamily offices as I go through this video. So why would somebody want to set up a family office versus hiring a financial advisor to manage their money, like less ultra high net worth individuals do? They often go to a private bank or a wealth management firm, and for a fee on assets, usually about 1%, the financial advisor or the wealth management firm or the private bank will manage the money for them and decide to allocate it across whatever asset classes they feel make sense. The reason why you would create a single family office over hiring an advisor or having your money managed by a private bank or wealth management firm is due to economies of scale. When it comes to a high net worth rich person, as I mentioned in my video how much money it takes to be rich, let's say they have a net worth of $20 million and you are paying 1% on that. That is about $200,000 in fees that you pay to your advisor. $200,000 in fees, if you just not negotiated lower, because these clients tend to be able to have a lot of bargaining power, is not enough money to finance a single family office. If you want to create a single family office, there's a lot of expenses that go into that. You first would need to hire a CIO, and a CIO is probably going for about $400,000 to $500,000 a year at minimum, including bonuses. And then you're going to need a competent analyst to work with your CIO, and that's going for anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 a year at minimum if you want a good one. And then on top of just your lean staff of 2 investment professionals, I'm assuming you don't have any back office or operations professionals, or that's all outsourced for a reasonable cost, then you're still going to need to buy a Bloomberg terminal, which is going to be about $30,000 a year. There's going to be other trading technology tools that probably, in the outsourcing of the back office operations side of your family office, it's not as much compliance, because if it's a single family office, you don't.
This is a terminal. This is what hedge funds will use, or any fund or any investor in like serious investment company will use to have quick data, make financial decisions. They need access to this. Now, this one's not $25,000 a year like the Bloomberg one is, but it will be much more expensive in the future. This is a startup that I've been taking advantage of. So this is what a family office would want. And so I essentially have a multi-family office currently. It's not like an official one. It's not professional by any means, but at some point we had a CFO. Like, I own an accounting firm, and we get to use all those resources for our personal families, right? Our real estate, we're using multiple families to continue to expand our portfolio. So eventually it can be big enough to where it'll make sense for us to make a legitimate one, like what's being spoken about in this video. But that's my goal at some point.
You don't need to register with a lot regulatory authorities, because viewed by the regulators as just basically a family managing their own money. So it's less than it would be if you were advising money for multiple families in terms of compliance costs and regulatory costs, but there are still other back office things that need to be done to keep everything organized. And let's say that all of that combined is about $10,000 a year. So if you add all of that up, you're going to be spending a minimum of $550,000 to $1 million a year on operating this family office. If you have bigger investment staff or have some or these other resources, maybe your family office manager needs to go travel to go due diligence on a privately held company that's outside of your hometown. That's a cost. But yeah, in general, like let's say the expenses are about $1 million a year. So if you have about $1 million a year in operating expenses for a family office to be set up, then in order for the family office to make more financial sense than hiring an advisor, your net worth is going to have to be well over $100 million. Because at $100 million, a lot of advisors will work for less than 1%. And so the cost of hiring your own staff, and then it's not just financial costs, but just the probably additional headache of having to build a whole business within your family just to manage your family's assets could create a lot of stress and other personal headaches. It really doesn't make sense for those ultra high net worth individuals who have less than 9-figure net worth to do it. And even if it makes
public equities and will need to utilize a terminal like this, and we'll have to hire a CIO and all the stuff that he was mentioning in the video, because Warren Buffett, for example, he outgrew buying small businesses, and then he outgrew buying small public businesses. Oh no, the audio's out. Oh, and then he outgrew investing in mid caps and large caps, and now it's hard for him to get into a position. So anyways, yeah, with that being said, man, that's family office. That's a goal of mine. Long-term goal, it's a big goal. But if people have been able to do it, I believe I could do it as well. All right, guys, you know what? That's it for me for today for live streaming. I am going to learn how to set up a Twitch account and all of that. And I'm going to start streaming on multiple platforms. But if you want to catch this stuff more often, if you want to continue to learn with me and grow with me, this is me working on the business every single day. You guys have access to it, can ask questions, all that, and learn with me. So I will see you guys tomorrow on my next live stream. Thanks for hanging out with me.